Hey everyone, and welcome back to Foothills Urban Garden. I know I've been away for a while and I'm wanting to get back into it, especially now that the growing season is kind of getting started. And this past winter has been kind of crazy for all of us. We've moved, as you've seen probably in the previous video. So the previous video went over all of that. The old garden is no longer a property that we own, so we are having to redo everything, but in a way it's a blessing because there were a lot of struggles with the other property. The main one was rhizomatous perennial weeds, and they were extremely invasive and hard to maneuver around. I didn't particularly mind the mugwort being a part of the landscape, but it wanted to take over everything, and that just wouldn't work. So having to use weed fabric and everything else to try to combat that only halfway worked, and the soil was just really poor over there, and there wasn't a whole lot I could do at that location and at that time to get that fixed. So we're now at our new house. There's less land here, but there's much more potential. So if you've seen our last video, you kind of know how the space that I'm going to plan out for a garden looks. And you know, I've got big plans for it. So I wanted to show all of you my seed collection. So I didn't know if you've seen this box before on this channel, and I think I have one other video showing this box, and it's actually a toolbox, but it works really well. There's little big compartments and small compartments for different kinds of seeds, and I've kind of got it all over the place with some with root vegetables, some with greens, some with like tomatoes and peppers. So I've got everything kind of spaced out, and then anything that was like miscellaneous or didn't have an overall category like okra and things like that kind of got lumped with whatever I usually plant them with. So things are kind of divided in an organized fashion, and I will go through this in a later video. Definitely there's been some really cool seeds that I've been able to order this season, and I've really wanted to share that with you all. So I will go through this at a later date, but today's video is going to be about stratifying. So stratifying seeds is the process of giving them a damp, cold period. It breaks down some of the protections that the seeds have to keep themselves from germinating too quickly, like with a false warm day or something like that. So a lot of perennials, perennial flowers and herbs go through a period of stratification over winter. So that's what we're going to do today with some of our seeds. So I have a list of the seeds that I own. I made a list of all the ones that need stratification. So I need to start those now. I'm actually a little behind. I probably should have started them like weeks ago, but we've been in the middle of a big move. Everything's been in boxes. It's been nearly impossible to do anything but focus on that. So the seeds that I have listed are pansy, pitcher plant, echinacea, delphinium, good King Henry, stinging nettle, St. John's wort, feverfew, lemon balm, white sage, lavender, shiso perilla, I hope I said that right, but shiso, catnip, caper, and licorice and fireweed. So those are some of the plants that I want to grow that do require stratification or may require it. There's some debate as to whether echinacea needs it or whether delphinium needs it. Some people say they do, some people say they don't. Honestly, I don't think it can hurt, and I may try a little bit of both to see which grows better in my area, because it may depend on area too. So and certainly a period of like wet cold that simulates winter isn't going to hurt any of the seeds either, especially the ones that are from temperate climates that have a winter season. So I'm going to take these out of my box and we're going to stratify them now. And I'll show you exactly how to do that. And I also have some seeds to soak. So we're going to be talking about soaking some of the seeds. Now, with it being the beginning of February, just about, there's only 2 seeds that I want to soak. And one of them is controversial, and one of them is not. So the first seed that I want to soak that's not controversial is peas. A lot of people say to go ahead and give them like a 24-hour soak before you decide to sow them, and this can help with the germination. It doesn't take as long at that point, and it really gets them off to a good start with getting enough moisture to germinate. A lot of hard casing type seeds benefit from that. So, I mean, you can soak beans, you can soak any of the ones with a hard casing to kind of jumpstart that process. It's not going to hurt them. You just want to make sure that the water stays clean and don't soak them for too long, or else you'll have sprouts in your water, and that may or may not hurt the seeds, but it definitely will make the water a bit dirty. So you want to watch out for that. But I'm only going to be soaking these peas for about 24 hours, so 24 to 48 hours. So that's not going to hurt them at all. And then the second type of seed I want to soak is carrot seeds. Now, everybody's going to be going, why are you soaking carrot seeds? You need to just direct sow them. However, there is a channel that I watch, and I can't for the life of me remember what the channel's called, but I will link it below and put a note by it that this is the person that soaked carrot seeds and planted them successfully that way. But what he did was a process of not really soaking the seeds to soak them, but he was soaking them to sprout them. And once the carrot seeds had sprouted just a teeny tiny bit, since I have problems with carrot seed germinating at all, they dry out too quickly, and I'm trying to water them, but I'm never able to water them enough sometimes. So I'm going to try this method. I know there's the plank method where you put something over them to hold in the moisture, and I'll try that too, probably out in the garden once I get everything started. But I want to try this method too because it looks really fascinating. And what he does is he soaks the carrot seed, and then they sprout, and then once they sprout, he makes a gel with cooked cornstarch and water, and he lets that cool, and then he works the water and the sprouted carrot seeds into that gel. He puts that gel into a Ziploc bag or a piping bag, and then he pipes that into the row that he wants the carrots. And what that does is the gel suspends those seeds so that they are spaced out already and not clumped up, so that when you pipe them into the space, you're not going to have to thin very much at all, if any. So that's what I want to try, just to kind of maximize what I'm able to do, because I don't have a ton of carrot seeds. I have a lot of different kinds, but I don't have a ton of each kind. So I want to maximize my potential, and I've never successfully grown carrots before, and I'm hoping to finally do that this year. So let me get some water, and I will be right back, and we will do the stratification and soaking. Okay, so I've got my water in these jars over here that I'm going to be using for soaking, but I'm also I've got extra water in them because I'm going to use the extra water to dampen these paper towels, and that's where we're going to put the seeds to stratify. So you want to get a clean paper towel. You want to make sure that it is clean, because we don't want to grow mold or anything unnecessarily. Now, we can't always control the mold spores and things that are around us, but we can at least make sure that it's not a paper towel that's maybe been used at some point, because some people will reuse a paper towel sometimes, or one that's been laying out for quite some time. So, you know, that can often make things a little more complicated than we want it. So, clean paper towel. And I did find one other seed in my seed collection when I was getting them out. So I've got marshmallow from Baker Creek, and I want to grow marshmallows so bad because it has a lot of medicinal uses, and it has a whole lot of uses for the root, even in making traditional marshmallows. Definitely want to grow this, even in just because it's pretty. It does require stratification also. So that's marshmallow there. So you can see it's very pretty. And then here's the delphinium. It's a big, tall, bell-like flowers. And then this one doesn't have a picture, but it's a pitcher plant. It's a carnivorous plant. They grow around South Carolina here, over in the wetlands. But they are kind of hard to grow unless you kind of know what you're doing, and I don't. But I got the seeds from Park Seed a long time ago, so I hope they're still good. But they do require stratification, and at that time when I bought these, I didn't really know how to do that. So now that I'm going to try my hand at it, I'm going to give it a shot. Why not? I can always get more seeds if I need to, but you know, these are old seeds. Might as well try it out on them rather than throw them out. So I got pansies, of course, edible flower. So I have echinacea, so echinacea purpurea, just the regular purple echinacea. I've got 2 packs of that. One is much older and only has a few seeds, so I want to use those up. But I didn't want to rely just on old seeds, just in case. But I have the new pack of echinacea, and you can't have too much echinacea, but a lot of benefits with that one. My mother got me fireweed seeds from Alaska when she went, and brought these back. I've had them for a couple of years now, so I hope they're still good. But since they are a let me see how tiny these seeds are. So teeny tiny seeds, but there's a lot of them, and they are used to make tea. So fireweed tea, it's a native tea plant to North America. So I'm gonna give that a try. Licorice. Now these say they need scarification as well, but I don't have any sandpaper on hand, so I'm going to stratify them, and if I feel like I need to, I may rub them with a little sandpaper when I get ready to plant them after stratification. So stratification, scarification, so putting a scar on the seed. It does help sometimes with that. Capers, if anybody hasn't seen what a caper blossom look like, they're really pretty. So even if I don't eat them or pickle them or ferment them, they are really pretty flower anyway, and I just think it's really neat to try to grow them. I'm not a huge caper fan, but you know, you can use the buds of dandelions to replace that as well. And then catnip. I do have a cat that loves catnip, so might grow some to try to stuff into some toys for him. And catnip tea is really good for medicinal purposes as well. St. John's wort. So I fold these in half to fit them in my, they're not actually half packs, but I fold them in half because they're really tall, but they fit better this way down into my seed storage. So, and it also kind of keeps everything nice and neat. So St. John's wort. I got White Star's feverfew. It's really pretty, but feverfew is used and approved for the treatment of migraines in a lot of countries. I don't think the US approves it. They can't make any money off of it. It's one of the reasons, I'm sure, but you know, they don't approve a lot of herbal treatments for anything. So but I do think maybe in Germany it's approved. So I want to grow feverfew because I want to make some tinctures for migraine treatment. I don't usually get migraines, but I have a lot of friends who do, and being able to give them a bottle of this, you know, to use if they want to is always nice. Lemon balm, another one that I want for tea and for medicinal use. Gonna make some tinctures out of that too. Lavender, this will be my 3rd year trying to grow lavender from seed, and I didn't stratify this times before and nothing ever came up, so hopefully this will be the year that things come up. White sage, so I have some older seeds that are from Bountiful Gardens, and you know, these are white sage seeds. Very similar conditions to lavender, more of a dry, arid area plant, so it can definitely kind of have the same qualifications. It doesn't necessarily say to stratify it. It does say to scarify them, so I may again do this to them when I'm ready to plant them, because by then they'll have soaked a bit, so I might be able to just very lightly sand a spot on them or kind of rub them on the sandpaper before I go put them in the soil. So this one says to, it doesn't say to stratify them, but I have seen other packets that did, so I'm going to try this and stratify a few of these. I'm not going to stratify all of them, but we'll see if that works. Because I got no germination last time I tried to plant them by the packet instructions. Again, this is my old purple coneflower from Horizon Herbs. And this one, the echinacea, you know, I've got quite a few in here, but again, I didn't have a whole lot of luck germinating these, so I'm going to try stratifying them this time. And then here is my, there's no picture, but this is my shiso or perilla seeds, and it is a mint family herb that's used a lot in Japanese cooking. The purple variety of perilla or shiso gives its purple or pink color to pickled plums. I think they're called umeboshi. So, you know, don't quote me. I know a little Japanese, but not much. And but this I've been wanting to grow for several years, and again, I can't get it to germinate. So we're gonna try it this way this year, and that's the list of ones that I want to stratify. So I'm gonna wet these paper towels, and then I'm going to put some seeds on each of these paper towels. I have Ziploc bags that I'm gonna slip those in once I fold them up, and I don't want to waste space in my Ziplocs since these are tiny seeds. So what I'm gonna do is get a permanent marker and draw a line down the middle, and then I'm going to write which one is on this side and which one is on that side, and I'm going to use one bag for 2 types of seeds. So, you know, it's not going to hurt them to be together. They're not going to be sprouting or anything near each other, or trying to soak up nutrients from each other, because they're just seeds. So I'm going to do it that way and save some bags and not have to use all of them. I only got 1 box. But when I get to soaking, I did bring some funnels and some, you know, jar funnels to help with that. This funnel, the little one, might actually help get them onto the paper towel if I have a lot to put on, but I probably won't use this except for maybe the carrot seeds to get them into the big jars. So we'll see about that. I'm going to take this, I'm going to fold it in quarters, and then once again I'm just going to dip it in my water over here just a little bit. I don't want it soaking wet, so I got half of it wet, half of it soaking wet, and then I folded it over to the dry half, and now it's pretty evenly wet. And then I'm going to unfold it carefully. And then once it is unfolded to about this shape, I'm going to find one of my seed packets. So I'll do the perilla. And then let's see. And then we'll do some of those. I'm just sprinkling. Try not to get them too all over the place. but I don't want them to clump up. So there's a lot of seeds in here, so I can be a little generous. All right, so there's probably 30 or 40 seeds on there. And then I'm going to fold this over, press it down. If I feel like it needs a little more water, I might sprinkle a little more on there. Probably should have brought a squirt bottle or something. And then I'm going to fold it one more time. And stick this just to keep it from drying out for now in that one side of this bag. Get as much air out as I can. I don't really want air taking up space. I'm going to lay these flat on top of each other in the fridge. So as you can see here, there's all the seeds in there. I can still kind of see through the paper towel, which really helps. These do need to be kept dark, so I may put these inside of a paper bag, and like the whole stack of them inside of a paper bag to keep them from sprouting yet. But the darkness will also help, you know, with all of that. So that's how to do one, and I will fast forward and see y'all when I'm able to get all of these filled, and then I'll show you what else I do with them. Okay, so we have all of them packaged up. So I've got 2 in each bag, and some of the seeds say to, you know, plant them outside in soil over winter, but again, it's about to be February, spring's about to kick off, and especially here in Zone 8, 8A, we don't have a ton of cold weather. Now, February is usually when we get our wintry weather, like really hard, so we could have, you know, 4 weeks or so of wintry weather or really cold weather, ice storms and whatnot, but there's no way to predict that. We could end up having really warm spells, and I don't want to risk not stratifying my seeds correctly. So these are all going into the fridge. So we have, you know, the delphinium and pansy, pitcher plant, and fire lily. They're all in here. So I'm just going to take all of these and just sit them in the fridge like that, and they're going to stay there for about 4 to 6 weeks. So I may not take these out until, you know, mid-March, and then sow them. So, you know, some of these may not even let me sow them until it gets even warmer than that. So maybe beginning of April. So our last frost date is somewhere around April 1st to April 4th, depending on which source you check. And so, you know, it may be a while. But that's why I often didn't stratify seeds, is I didn't sit down in the middle of winter and do this. And, you know, it's kind of a commitment. You're putting moisture on these seeds. There's not going to be any going back from here. So I guess I was a little bit cautious too. But this year, I'm going to give it a try. Going to, you know, do whatever I can. Luckily, none of these seeds are super hard to get or super expensive, and most of these are perennials and very hardy plants. I mean, they want to grow, so unless I do something horribly wrong, these should grow. So we will check in on these when I go ahead and plant them about mid-March or the 1st of April. So you'll see these again in several weeks. Now we want to do our soaking seeds. So I've got various jars with lids, and these are just going to be out on my counter. They're not going to go in the fridge, but you know, my kitchen's not super warm, stays about 68 degrees or so. I guess if I'm really cooking, it might get up a little higher, but I'm only going to be keeping these in water for about 1 to 2 days. So this big jar I've got for the peas. I don't actually have a ton of pea seeds. I actually need to go buy more. However, I do have about a pack and a half, small pack and a half, of pea seeds, and I'm going to go ahead and put those in here to get those ready. So I may end up doing another round when I finally do go get the rest of the pea seeds, but they're fairly forgiving. Only thing is I really have to get those started before it gets too hot, and it will get hot very fast. So once we're past that last frost date, all bets are off. It could shoot up to 80, 90, you know, depending on the day. And, you know, we want to be ready, and I want these peas to be able to grow as much as they can before it gets super hot, and then they can't stand it anymore. So I'm going to put those in here, and then we're going to take a look at the carrots. Are all done. They've got little air bubbles on them, so I'm just shaking them up to get some of the air bubbles off, so they'll all settle to the bottom. Alright, I have just a generic rainbow blend that I was going to try in a small container, and I still may sow some of these in containers. I have really big fabric grow bags, and they have a mixture of potting soil and sand, and I feel like that would be really, really good for them. So I have about 5 of those, but only 4 are really available. So I'm going to do that. You know, I may only do maybe 2 of those large. I mean, they're huge. So they may also be used for potatoes, because I'm not going to be able to dig a whole lot in the garden that I'm building, since it's going to be no dig. The ground is going to be a bit hard for quite some time till I can build it up. So now I can plant the potatoes and, you know, hill up compost, buy compost, and just put all over it. I don't have enough compost made. I'm just starting a compost pile and figuring that out. But I haven't made compost successfully before, but I am determined to do it this year because I need a steady supply of compost for a no-dig garden. You have to constantly be putting more on top, and I'm going to give that a try. Now, the rainbow seems fairly simple. I got Baker Creek's Cosmic Purple. So they're purple on the outside and kind of a dark, rich orange on the inside. I got the new Kuroda. This one's supposed to be very sweet. I don't usually like carrots raw. I like them cooked because the sugars really come out when they're cooked. But I want to learn to like them raw, and people say homegrown carrots taste a ton better. And since I haven't successfully grown them, I wanted to try some varieties that are higher in sugars to try to ease myself into liking that taste. Some carrots taste a lot more piney and a little bit bitter. At least to me, they taste bitter. So I'm hoping I like this one. And it's a shorter, stubbier variety, so it doesn't have to go very deep. So I could probably put this one out in the garden, but I may go ahead and just try it in the grow bags for now. But that one's really cool. And then I've got the Black Nebula. Everybody's raving about this one on the garden YouTubers, but I definitely want to have these for juicing. And if you boil them, you can actually make a dye out of their coloring, and it's just really neat. So these will be kind of a specialty thing. I've got a separate jar for these that I'm going to separate out. These in the Corota are going to get separated out, and the rest of them I may just put all together to see how they do, or get some more jars. But I definitely want to keep these separate because I want to know where they are in the garden. And then the last one I got was the Kyoto Red, and this one's supposed to be a slightly sweeter, not real sweet variety, but this one's supposed to have a really good flavor, and with it being red, it has a lot of antioxidants, so I wanted to try this one too. It's a Japanese variety. And so I'm going to go ahead and just dump these into the jars of water, and then they will sit there until they sprout. I'm going to put them in a warm area because I do want them to start to sprout as soon as I see the tiny white end of the root coming out of some of the seeds, maybe not even all. I will go ahead and make that cornstarch gel, and I will film myself attempting to make that for the first time to show y'all, and I will link that video to the other YouTuber below who does a great job of showing that process. So I'm going to do that and put those away, and that will basically conclude my soaking seeds and my stratification, and we will come back when it's ready to plant these things. So thank you for being with me this evening, and wherever you are, I hope you're dreaming of your garden and that you're planting it, and it will be a great success this spring. I will see you in the next video. Bye.